So this is the final week or the final bit of self-assessment that I'm going to be able to do now. Um, there's quite a bit to talk about, just like considering how much I've done in this time. Um, Overall, I'd say I'm fairly happy with how this final week has went. I was quite productive, so um, I created an additional form in order to gain quantifiable data for my ethical research on top of the qualitative data that I already had. Um, so I'd already put out a form for people to fill out in terms of alt and Smurf accounts, talking about the ethicality of them and whether or not they should be in use. Um, but I wasn't happy with the way that they turned out because I'd used a quantitative, no, I'd used a qualitative measure of questions. So I decided that I wanted to redo it or gain some even more, even further information by getting quantitative information as well, um, which I was then able to turn into graphs. I will just pull that up now, um, which was obviously useful in terms of just being able to display the visualize the information that I received as well as being able to then discuss it, um, which is always a bonus. And then I also did something very similar with my KPIs as well, um, which was I used because I hadn't hit my smart target. Decided that I wanted to review. Oh, sorry, let me just go back. There was one issue with the ethical research, though, or the first-hand research, um, which was there were not enough responses. There was only 11 responses, which means that the data was potentially unreliable. Not a big data pool. It was a data pool sampled from servers, Discord servers that I'm in with trusted, reliable people who were involved in the Overwatch community heavily. So I do think that it was in terms of who I asked for, it was very specified and reliable, but maybe the sample size wasn't big enough. Additionally, I also discussed more about tourneys, the tournaments, um, to help represent underrepresented groups in the Overwatch community again for the ethical research. Um, and then going back to it now, I did use my KPI or the Excel spreadsheet features um, in the KPI to figure out my deaths and elims per time were actually much improved since the start of the tracking. So I believe these yeah, actually we'll go pardon me. We'll go to the representation, the histograms taken from the start of this most recent KPI. This is simply before the last smart target, um, which is which shows there's 20 to 25, which was the high area, 3.8 to 5.2 was the high area for deaths. And then if we go up, the high area for deaths has actually went down from 3.8 to 5.2 to 3 to 4.5, which is very good. And then the high point for kills was 20 to 25, whereas now it's 19 to 26 is the highest, but 26 to 33 is also very close to the highest, as well as a higher overall peak in 40 compared to um, 30 previously, which is a massive improvement just from one smart target, showing that potentially if I continue playing that specific hero, I would potentially end up climbing very far. Although my decision from there was to um, was to add an additional hero after talking with Mick. We did a bit of live coaching to get my diva started. That was mostly due to the simple time factor, which was I didn't have enough time to be able to play some diva, get a VOD, do a VOD review, and then try to implement something. I had to get some live coaching on the spot, get myself get myself um, a second hero and get myself a smart target to be able to actually implement what I wanted to do. Um, and then I started an extra KPI early because the first one was becoming too cluttered. There was too much information in one place, and it was becoming hard to identify and pick out key areas. Um, And then with my Winston smart target, despite not hitting the actual smart target itself, I did a bit of again Excel spreadsheet use to show that I had hit my targets to a certain degree. If I just pull this up for you now, they will be the two highlighted stats there. The 23, as you can see up here, I did a bit of work with the game length and eliminations and deaths um, to find that my average elims per 10 since starting the smart target had went to beyond the beyond what we wanted, which was 22.7 at the max. It was now 23.33. Um, Probably something, you just say it was 23, which is beyond good. And then deaths per 10 was supposed to be 4.68 or lower. We dropped that by 1.2. We weren't actually setting a specific target for the deaths, but I did massively improve that, which is very, very impressive and important to consider. Um, Again, though, as I said, we did make the decision that I would add Diva to my hero pool because the Winston games were becoming very, very difficult considering there were so much counters to the hero at that point. That Diva just seemed like the logical option to add and add a smart target to. Um, I also added additional information in my path to pro. In context, sorry, talking about the path to pro. um, which just highlighted the key areas of what players have to do um, in order to find themselves from uh, the level that I'm at, which is simply just playing ranked and some amateur level scrims and league games, etc., to being able to find themselves at the highest standard in the entire game, which is the Overwatch League. Which I felt was useful just to show and justify why I've picked this game, is that just from ranked alone and from where I'm up to, playing in a collegiate level, being student champs, playing in an amateur level, shown by my scrim footage, which I got today, um, it's obviously um, very, very useful information just to be able to show that I had a very, very good reason for picking this game in particular. Um, and just discussing the Diva Bombs smart target, which I had set for myself, or Mick had set for me. Again, I hadn't hit it in the overall stats or in the overall career profile. I hadn't edited that, unfortunately. But what we did learn is that in the follow-up games, after I was told to start working on it, my objective was to get it to 2 kills using Diva Bomb ult per 10. I got it up to 1.99 in follow-up games, which is, I would argue, excusable. How how close I was to hitting that target. That was being 0.1 off isn't a very noticeable amount, especially when you can't get 0.01 kills in a game. And the final bit of analysis which I wanted to do um, was just going over the improvement which I've made from the start to finish, which is showing here starting in gold 1 um, and going from gold 1 to where we're up to now, which is plat 4. Despite we did have a bit of a drop where even in the first KPI we can see I just hit plat 3. It is evident that I've made a lot of improvements as well. If we go to the baseline at the start of this, eliminations 19.9, we come to now 20.34, deaths 4.92, 4.74. If we go to hero damage, just below 7,000, and we have now come up to 7127, which does actually show that over this extended period of time, I have made improvements. Maybe setting the smart target sooner would have been the difference maker between where I'm at now and where I would have wanted to have ended, which is somewhere in diamond. But to climb from gold 2 to plat 4 is very happy. I almost went up a full tier, a full rank, which is very impressive given the short period of time. It is a game where everybody is competitive, everybody's trying to improve. The meta is changing constantly. Some people are gonna find an advantage off of that. Some people are gonna find a disadvantage. For me personally, the swap to a monkey meta was a big disadvantage. It wasn't a hero that I'd played much previously. I think I round about doubled my time on the hero in that period of time. But um, to do what I've done is fairly impressive, and I am very proud of how much I've climbed. Um, and that is it. That is the final evaluation.